6. We did that before, but let's just do it again. 3 groups need to share 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each group, each circle has got 2, so I'm going to put 2 there. And then I need to do 90 divided by 6. Now to do this question, 90 divided by 3. Quick change there. 90 divided by 3. So the best way to do this question is to do 3, 6, 9. You know that you've got 3 times 3 equals 9, but I don't want 9, I want 90. And I know the relationship between 9 and 90 is 10 times bigger. So my answer then is going to be, if it's 3, 6, 9, but then got 3 times 3, I need to make it 10 times bigger, it's going to become 30. That's why, like I said, your 10 times table knowledge and your general times table knowledge is really important. Final step is we're going to add them up, and my answer would be 32. Now, I'm going to do this question a slightly different way. So the question was 96 divided by 3. Okay? We're going to use the same method, partition. But the way you partition it here is really important. Because if I use my 10 times table knowledge, and I know that 30 definitely I can put 30 here, because that's 3 times 10 is 30. Right, I've got 30 here. Can I add 30 more to get to 96? 30, 60. Yeah, can I add 30 more? Now, can I add 30 more? I've got 30, 60, 90. I'm going to add 30 more. Got lots of parts in this one. And then the final one, I've got 30, 60, 90. Can I add 30 more? No, I can't really. I've got 6 left over. So I'm going to add 6 over here. So we've got 30, 60, 90, and 96. I've partitioned it absolutely fine. I partitioned it into 4 different numbers, which is fine. It's still correct. All of these numbers are in the 3 times table, which is a really important key part. Now, let's see if we can divide them separately. And hopefully this, if you found the last method a little bit tricky and confusing, this should make it a lot more simple. So let's divide them. Again, we've got each part here. I've got 4 parts, so let's do the first one nice and easy. 6 divided by 3. 3, 6 is 2. And then I've got 30 divided by 3. So I can count up in my 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. 10, or you might just know in your head straight away, 30 divided by 3 is 10, because it's your 10 times table. The 10 times table knowledge is really, really important. So I've done that one. Again, we're going to tick over here, because sometimes some of my students in Holly class, they get a little bit tricked and they think, oh yeah, I've done that one. And then they realize they haven't done it. So let's just tick it, just make sure that we're 100% sure I've done that one. So then you know you're not missing anything out. I've got another one. And then I've got another one. I'm going to tick it. Now we're going to add these numbers up. I've got 10, a 10, a 10. So I've got 10, 20, 30. Add 2, which equals 32. So the key in this question is to partition the number in slightly different ways to make it easier using that times table. Now I'm going to take the steps away and I'm going to take some examples away so that you can have a go at your own question. Let's have a go at, let's say, 86 divided by 2. So, division, remember, 86, step number 1. What are you going to do? I want you to maybe find a pen and a paper, or you might have a whiteboard. I'm going to give you a little bit of time just to get ready so you can have a go at practicing this question. Right. Step number 1. I want you to complete step number 1 for me. That's right. This partitions into 6 and 80. Step number 2, think about what you need to do. That's right, divide them separately. So we're going to go 6 divided by 2, which seems to be coming up a lot today. And 80 divided by 2. So we've got 6 divided by 2 and 80 divided by 2. Think about which one you want to do first. Do the easy one first. So I'm going to do. Or I could have done. The final one, 80 divided by 2, how many 2's are in 8? Think about how many 2's are in 8, and I want you to make that connection. So I know that there's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 4 2's in 8. So how many 2's in 80? That's right, we're going to put 40. The final step, yep, add them up together. 40 add 3 equals 43. So that was a nice little starter question. Let's make it a little bit harder. Let's go with, let's get a question. Let's go with, I'm going to say, $75 divided by 3. Now, I want you to partition this over here. Partition the number 75 into what you think it will go into. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do that. Now, some of you may have got this, but I want you to think about what we said. Is 5 in the 3 times table? 3, 6, it's not in the 3 times table. Therefore, this wouldn't work. You had to partition this into a number which is in the 3 times table. So, like we did earlier, I know 30 is a perfect, nice, easy round number. It's 3 times 10, 30. I'm not going to go wrong, so I'm going to go 30. But that doesn't make 75. I can add some more. And you may have done this. Some of you may have got something slightly different, which is fine. I want you to keep it. If you're confident that it is in the 3 times table, I want you to keep it. So I've got 30 and 60 so far. And what have I got left over? 75 take away 60. I know that I need to add 15 more on. And we'll find out whether 15 is in the 3 times table or not. So step number 1, we've done. step number 2 now. Let's divide them separately. 15 divided by 3. I want you to try and work that out, and you might have already done it. I'll give you a clue here. If you're stuck, those are my 3 groups. Have a go at working it out. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each group. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 5 times 3 equals 15. I've done that one. Let's stick it. Now 30 divided by 3. You're going to be sick of me saying 30 divided by 3 by the end of this video now. 30 divided by 3 is, well done. I'm going to give you a tick so I don't forget. And then 30 divided by 3 again. What does it equal? It equals 10. I know for sure. I've done step number 2. And finally, I want you to check it. Step number 3. Add them up. So if I do 10, add 10, I've got 20. And I'm going to add 5 more to make 25. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got 25. Well done. Now, just before we finish, I'm going to leave you a few questions to have a go at doing by yourself. We could do 69 divided by 3. You could do let's go with 57 divided by 3. We could go 64 divided by 4. I think that should be enough. Those are 3 questions that I want you to practice. Maybe you might want to put in the comment section or next week, see what answers you got. And if you're finding it a little bit tricky, or if you've got certain questions where you got stuck, we can discuss that as well. I hope that was helpful. Remember step number 1, partition. Step number 2, divide them separately. And if you're struggling to divide, use your times tables. You might want to draw the circles and dots, or use the link between the 10 times table, and then finally we add them up. But the one key step we need to remember is whenever we divide, whenever we partition, like we did over here, these numbers that I'm circling have to be in that times table. If you don't, then you'll get the question wrong and it will become a lot more difficult. So I hope that makes sense, and thank you for joining me in my lesson.
Thank you so much, Mr. K. Another brilliant lesson. So please leave any suggestions in the chat facility for the next lesson with Mr. K. Back to you in the studio.
So thanks, Stuart. Today we have Natalie with us. Hello, Natalie, and thank you for joining us here on the Learn Live channel.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So just a quick reminder to everyone watching that if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat facility next to the video player, and Natalie will get back to you. Now today, Natalie is going to be doing a lesson on story mapping, which I'm sure you will all enjoy. So just before we get into that, I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions first, if that's okay, Natalie.
Yeah, that's great.
So first question is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course, yeah. So I'm a teacher at Trinant Primary, which is a little primary school. It's tucked away in the hillside in the Welsh Valleys. I taught pretty much the whole range there, apart from nursery. And I've been there, I think this is my 7th year now, so quite a while. I absolutely love it there.
Oh, wow, fantastic. And why did you want to become a teacher?
I think I always loved school, and I was one of those children who would sit down and teach my teddies. So it seemed quite a natural thing. I became a teaching assistant and then thought I'd have a go at teaching, and then here I am.
Okay, great. And can you recommend any writing activities that students can do at home during this time?
I think anything that you're writing is really good. Obviously, it's quite a good time now to be practicing things that maybe you had little issues with. So your punctuation, maybe get parents to have a little check with that. There's a wealth of things online, and I always start with reading first. So I think if you choose any book you like and maybe do some work from there, so write a diary as a character is always a nice one, and then you can choose your own book that you're interested in and kind of do any writing from that, your own story, like I said, diary or a letter to a character, anything like that.
That sounds like good fun for the students to do. So is there any shout outs that you'd like to do for any of your teachers or your students?
I'd like to give a massive shout out to everyone at Trinant Primary. I know we're all missing each other. And also to the Isloin Hub, which is just being set up for key workers at the moment. So some of my colleagues are working there. So big shout out and well done to those as well.
Okay, fantastic. Now over to you, Natalie, for today's lesson.
Okie dokes. So I've got this little makeshift piece of paper here. You don't have to do this when you're doing story mapping. It's just for me to help you to see what I'm doing. So I've chosen a story. I've gone with Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And essentially story mapping is you are doing exactly what it says on the tin. So I'm going to start off. You can do this on your own with somebody else. You can do it really artistically. I am not very good at art, so we'll see how it goes. So it's deep in the forest lived the three bears. So I'm going to do the forest. You'll have to excuse my drawings. So deep in there, because we're deep in the forest. So deep in the forest lived the three bears. So I'll have my three bears there to remind me. And as you're going along, I would retell it as you go so you remember what the bits are. And you're not like me and you get to the end and you can't remember. So each bit I draw, I kind of say it again in my head or I retell it out loud. So deep in the forest lived the three bears. And then there was Big Father Bear. So I'm going to draw Big Father Bear. There he is. A middle-sized Mother Bear. So there she is. And a teeny little baby bear. So deep in the forest lived three bears. There was Big Father Bear, middle-sized Mother Bear, and a teeny little baby bear. I use an arrow in between my pictures then just to show that it's the next section. So Father Bear had a big voice. So I'm going to draw Father Bear again. And I'm going to do him with a big voice. Mother Bear had a middle-sized voice. I'm going to pop her there. And Baby Bear had a tiny little voice. You could only just hear it, so I might try and draw an ear there to remind myself that you could only just hear it. Then we tend to do it going almost like this with a story map. So you'd come around here next. So it says bright and early one morning. So I'm going to do bright and early one morning. Mother Bear was busy making breakfast. There she is. I'm going to have her with a little frying pan in her hand. Maybe making a little egg there. We'll enjoy our porridge even more if we have a little walk first, she said. So you can put that in a speech, but I won't write all that out for you now. And then you want to pick up on some key vocabulary. So nice openers that you would normally use in school, your time openers or connectives that you like. We've got a but here. And because I think that's a really good word that you start to use in a story, I might put a big but to remind myself. But while the bears were walking, so was someone else. So I'm going to have my 3 bears. And again, you might take more time over your pictures. So while the bears were walking, put their legs on, show that they're walking. So was someone else. Now, I'm going to have someone else. If you don't know who it is yet, it was a little girl called, so we'll have a little girl. And then we've got some ellipsis there, dot, dot, dot. So I'm going to put it as a little girl called, because we don't know her name at this point. Sorry, it's a bit wonky as well. Goldilocks. So you could pop her name if you wanted to remember a name there. You could just do a big G for Goldilocks, however you want to remember it. So I'm just going to do that there. Can you see it? And then it says, she had golden hair and her cheeks were rosy. You could use different colours to help you, but I've only brought one with me now. So she had golden hair and her cheeks were rosy. Okay. And then it says, oh, I missed a bit then, but Goldilocks was rather nosy. So I'm going to draw a little nose here. But Goldilocks was rather nosy. When she saw the house, and draw some eyes there. When she saw the house, with the door open wide, so let's show that that's open. That naughty little girl walked right inside. I'm going to have her. So she walked right inside. Then your map will come back down here. So we can see so far then, and I haven't been doing what I said, which was I'd retell it as I went along, but deep in the forest lived 3 bears. There was big father bear, middle-sized mother bear, and teeny baby bear. Father bear had a big voice. Mother bear had a middle-sized voice. Baby bear had a little teeny voice. You could only just hear it. Bright and early one morning, Mother Bear was busy making breakfast. We'd enjoy our porridge even more if we had a little walk first, she said. But while the bears were walking, so was someone else. It was a little girl called Goldilocks. She had golden hair and her cheeks were rosy, but Goldilocks was rather nosy. When she saw the house with the door open wide, that naughty little girl walked right inside. And I would continue doing that then for the whole of the story, or part of the story, build it up, maybe do some one day and then some the next. And then the idea is you'll retell this, you could drop actions in. So you might have, if your story starts with once upon a time, I know in my school we do once upon a time and we add some actions because it helps you internalize the story. And when you're quite confident telling it with the pictures, you'll probably be able to do it without. And then you're ready then to either rewrite that story yourself. My little girl's in reception, she's rewriting a story at the moment, a bit at a time. Or you can change it then. So you know this story and you could maybe then have your character meeting 3 pigs or 3 horses instead. And you can kind of change little bits of the story up so that you make it your own. And then you can invent a brand new story, but you've kept that structure of that story and those important words and connectives and openers that are going to really make your story all the better. So I hope that makes sense to you, and you can do this with any story. I did one recently, actually. It's a little bit neater than the one there, with my little girl. So we did What the Ladybird Heard, and same thing, we just built the story up, and then she was able to retell that, and then she'll do her own version of it. So I hope that was some use for you, and that you enjoy doing them, because I love doing them. I could sit and do them all day.
Oh, well, thank you, Natalie, for that great lesson for us today. I'm sure I've learned a lot from it. I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us today. And remember, if you have any questions, please use the chat facility next to the video player and Natalie will get back to you. So see you next time on the Learn Live channel. I'm back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Stuart. I've been joined today by Mr. Semmons, who's a primary school teacher, and will be giving our viewers a short maths lesson today. So, Mr. Semmons, can I ask you to please introduce yourself and tell us what today's lesson is going to be?
So I'm Mr. Semmons. I'm a primary school teacher at Marisbridge Primary School in Wigan. And today's lesson is going to be on addition, looking at the column method.
Brilliant. So to all the children watching today, please use the chat facility next to the video player to ask your questions to Mr. Semmons. If you're struggling with anything or have any questions at all, just use that. And if you know Mr. Semmons, make sure to give him a big hello on the chat facility. Would you like to say a hello to your class, Mr. Semmons?
Hello. Hello.
Brilliant. So let's start with today's lesson.
So today we are going to be learning about column addition. Okay, so this is something that primary school do a lot of, but this is something that we always build up to, leading on from place value, leading into addition and subtraction. So first of all, we're going to be looking at the numbers. So our first question says 52 add 36. So this is something that a lot of people commonly can get wrong. It might come across as something that's very easy, but a lot of kids these days in primary schools seem to get these types of questions wrong. However, we're going to start with the basics. So 52 add 36. So first of all, we need to understand which is our tens, but also which is our ones column. So we're going to start with the number 52, which you can all see. As you can see, I've done them in different colours. So I've done the hundreds in red, tens in blue, and the ones in black. So 52, we know that 52, going back to our place value, 52 has 5 tens, but it also has 2 ones. So if it has 5 tens, this is 50. If it's 2 ones, it is just 2. Okay. The number 36. 36